Hello students, today we're going to learn how to solve two-step equations and use the solution to check to see if your answers are correct. Let's look at an example. So to solve two-step equations means you're going to have to use two operations to undo the equation so that you can find what the original value of the variable was. Okay, so in this example, we have 3p minus 2 on the left-hand side of the equation. So anything that is to the left of your equal sign right here, we're going to call it the left-hand side of the equation, equals to negative 29. So the negative 29 is considered the right-hand side of the equation. Okay, the right-hand side. All right, so our goal here is to undo all of these things that is being done to p so that we can find out what the original p value was. Okay, so the step for this is since we have to use two operations, let's say we're gonna start with step number 1. Okay, and in order to figure out what you should do with step number 1, I suggest that you take your finger and you will cover up the term that has the variable in it. Okay, so by covering up the variable term, you will see the constant term that needs to move or need to combined. Okay, need to be combined. So in this situation, we have a negative 2 on the left-hand side and the negative 29 on the right-hand side. So we need to combine those two. So I would have to move the negative 2 away from the 3p to the right-hand side of the equation. In order to do that, I would use reverse operation. So instead of negative 2, I would have to add 2. Okay, so I'm going to add 2 to that side of the equation, so that will zero it out. But then I must also add it to the right-hand side of the equation. And the reason I need to do that is because I have to keep the equation balanced. Okay, if you add 2 to the right-hand side without adding 2 to the left-hand side, or vice versa, you will undo the equal sign, right? And we don't want to do that. We want both sides to equal to each other. So my step number 1 in this problem is add 2. Okay, add 2. Okay, and then when you add 2, your job is to simplify it. Okay, what happened when we add 2? Okay, so when I add 2 to this left-hand side of the equation, I get 3p. Okay, because I didn't do anything to that. But the minus 2 and the plus 2 actually zero out. Okay, so all of this turn into a 0. Okay, therefore I have only 3p left on the left-hand side. On the right-hand side, however, instead of negative 29 originally, since I added 2, negative 29 and positive 2 will make negative 27. Okay, 27. Right, 27 there. Okay. Now, we're not quite done yet because our goal, remember, I'm just going to write it down here, is to get p by itself. Okay, so that we can tell what the original value of p is. Okay, and the way to get p by itself is to, so this would be your step number 2. Okay, to get p by itself, you need to undo this operation that's being done to p. So this right here is 3 times p. So in order to undo multiplication, we have to divide. And the number we want to divide it by is 3. Okay, because 3 divided by 3 will give you 1p. Okay, but remember, we got to do it to the other side as well. Okay, 3. Okay, so when you do that, you'll end up with 1p equals to negative 9. Okay, and this is what's called the solution to the equation. Okay, you reverse the steps and you found out what the original value for p was. Okay, and in this case it's negative 9. Now I need to write this down. Your step number 2 was to divide by 3. Okay, so I'm going to write down divide by 3. Okay, divide by 3. Okay, My handwriting is terrible, okay? But I'm getting used to this, so hopefully I'll get better. All right, so we need to make sure, though, that negative 9 is correct because we might have made a mistake somewhere up here. I don't know, okay? The way to check your solution is you use the original equation, okay? You write it down, everything down, and in everywhere you have a p, you're going to put the answer to that, okay? So here I have 3p. Instead of p, I will put negative 9 there, and then I write the rest of the equation down, minus 2, and then I'm going to check to see if it's really equal to negative 29. Now we're all going to cross our fingers and hope that it will equal to negative 29. Otherwise we're in trouble because we must have made a mistake, okay? So in place of the multiplication right here for p, I'll put negative 29 in there, okay? Now what do I do next? All right, I need to use order of operation and simplify this side, okay? So I'll do multiplication first. 3 times negative 29 is negative 27, okay? Negative 27 and a minus 2, okay? That's considered like two negatives, right? So negative 27 and negative 2 actually turn out, I don't know, is it negative 29? Well, let's hope. You have negative 27 and then you have another negative 2. So if you combine those two values, you actually end up adding those two negatives together. So you do get negative 29 on the left-hand side. Okay, and that is no argument here equals to negative 29 on the other side. Okay, so this example was a little long because I had to explain to you how to solve the two-step and how to use your answer and plug it back into the equation to check to see if it works out. And when you end up with a true statement at the end, it means that your solution is correct. So you can check that off and be confident that your answer is right. Okay, so now we're going to look at another example. In this example, we have negative 5x plus 13 minus 17, okay? And so again, you got to write down your two steps, okay? Your first step is to do what, okay? And your second step is to do what, okay? So let's examine this equation real quick. Remember, I suggest that you cover up the term with the variable in it. In this case, it's negative 5. Okay, so I'm going to cover it up. Okay, so what I have left with the constant is the positive 13, which needs to move to the other side of the equation. So in order to move positive 13 to the other side, I would have to subtract, right? So I am going to subtract. Okay, so I'm going to put here subtract. Okay, so SUBT, okay, that means subtract, okay, 13, okay. Now I'm going to show you how to do this horizontally. So you would write down your equation, negative 5x plus 13, okay. If you want to do this horizontally, you're going to leave a little bit of space there because you're going to subtract 13, and then you bring down the equal sign, write down the right hand side, negative 17, okay. And remember, if I'm going to add or subtract 13 on this side of the equation, I need to remember to do the same thing on the other side, okay. All right, now I'm going to simplify this equation. Okay, after simplifying this equation, I end up with negative 5x on this side, okay, because 13 minus 13 turned out to be 0, and that's what we want, equals to negative 30, because negative 17 and negative 13 makes negative 30, okay. Now, remember, our goal is to get x by itself, okay, get x by itself. So again, if you cover up this x with your finger, you will see that you would have to get rid of this negative 5. Again, opposite operation or reverse operation. So this operation right now, okay, right now you have negative 5 times x, okay. The only way to undo this operation is to divide by negative 5, okay. If you divide by negative 5, you will get x by itself, okay. So that's what I'm going to do to both sides of the equation, okay. So I'm going to write down divide by negative 5. Okay, can you see what I would end up with after I divide by negative 5? Okay, so this side is 1x, and this side, negative divided by negative, will give me a positive number, so I don't have to write it. But 30 divided by 5 would give me 6. Okay, so I would end up with x equal to 6, and this is my final solution. Okay, and I'm going to show you how I check this solution really quickly. So when I checked my solution, I took the original equation, negative 5x plus 13 equals negative 17. I rewrite that, but in place of x, I put 6 in there because that's supposed to be my solution. If it is true, then this left-hand side of the equation would equal to negative 17. So let's figure out. Negative 5 times 6 is negative 30 plus 13. Negative 30 plus 13 means negative 30 and positive 13 combined will give you negative 17. And no argument here, negative 17 is equal to negative 17. So we are checked out. That means that is our solution. So on the next screen, I would like for you to pause the video, and I would like for you to try 2 examples before coming to class. After your example, you can check to see if you've done it right. So for this example, we have 4n minus 9 equals to negative 9. Please pause your video so you could solve this two-step equation and find out what n is originally. Ready? Go. Please pause the video. Please pause the video. Are you ready to check your answer? So following the steps to reverse the order of operation, your answer should have been 0. Okay, so you end up adding the 9 to both sides of the equations because this is a minus 9. To zero that out, you need to have you need to add 9. So when you add 9, you end up with 4n on the left-hand side of the equation and 0 on the right-hand side of the equation. Your step 2 is to divide both sides of the equation by 4 because I want 4 to turn into a 1n. Okay, 4n to a 1n. So divide by 4. 0 divided by 4 on the right hand side end up with 0. Okay, now some equations are easier to check, such as this one, okay, because the solution to this one is 0. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the 0 and I'm going to put it back into my original equation for n. Okay, so I can do this mental math in my head. 4 times 0 is 0 minus 9. Well, 0 taken away 9, that means you have negative 9 left. So this turned out to be true. Okay, so our answer is correct. Ready for example 2? Alright, on the next screen, please pause your video. So in this example, you have negative 7 plus 4r equals to negative 15. You're going to need to use 2 operations to undo this equation. Ready? Go. Please pause the video. Please pause your video. So in this example, you should have gotten negative 2 for your answer. Okay, you added 7 on both sides. Okay, simplify your equation. You get 4r equals to negative 8, and you divide by 4 on both sides of the equation, and you end up with negative 2. Let's check our solution. So in checking our solution, we rewrite the equation exactly as it appeared originally, which is negative 7 plus 4r equals to negative 15. But in place of r, I replace it with negative 2. Okay, and then we're going to use order of operation to figure out whether the left-hand side equals to negative 15. And as it turned out that negative 7 plus 4 times negative 4, which is negative 8, equals to negative 15. And negative 15 is equal to negative 15, so our solution must be true. Okay, this concludes the two-step equation solving. We'll see you at next video. Thank you for watching.